Hello guys, this is going to be more of a relaxed video of just me talking, and I'm going to be ranking my favorite Beatles albums. Well, not my favorites, just all of them. So yeah, let's get right into it with their first album from, what year is this? 1963, Please Please Me. So, it's their first album. Okay, right off the bat, when I think of this album, I think of like just pop music from that time, and like they didn't really have a distinct style. They just kind of did love songs, although they are good love songs, but still, I don't know. It just doesn't stand out to me. It has songs that I like. Some of my favorite songs from the list are "I Saw Her Standing There," Please Please Me, obviously, Love Me Do is a good one, and Twist and Shout. But other than that, the songs are just kind of down, so that's gonna be like a high C tier for me right off the bat. Not worst, there are songs on there that I like, but overall just not one of my favorites. It's still a great album, but as it comes to the Beatles, it can't compete with some of these later ones. Speaking of which, the next one is With the Beatles, released the same year, 1963. This one, I would say, is even a little bit below Please Please Me. It's similar style of just love songs, early day Beatles, catchy, short tunes. Some notable tracks from here are All My Loving and Please Mr. Postman, but other than that, not much here that I find myself listening to regularly, so I'd say this is like arguably their worst album, but it's still not really bad, so it's gonna be a D tier. But keep in mind, it's still a good album compared to other albums. This is just as it ranks with the other album. It's not. It just doesn't stand out to me. It's like, yeah, it's good, but it's not as good as some of these other ones. Okay, next we have A Hard Day's Night from 1964, and this was a soundtrack for the movie, and it's really good, honestly. It's the best early days Beatles album in my opinion. It has A Hard Day's Night, obviously, is really good, and I Love Her, Tell Me Why. Can't Buy Me Love is another good one. It's just overall really good. There are songs on it that I don't know and don't listen to, but overall it's a lot better than the other ones, I'd say. So it's going to be a B tier. Okay, next we have Beatles For Sale from same year, 1964. And this one I would say is about the same as Please Please Me. So it's good. It has 8 Days a Week, one of my favorite early Beatles songs. And the rest of the songs are kind of like average. I wouldn't really. The only one that sticks out to me here is 8 Days a Week, but the other ones I know aren't too bad. So it kind of evens out. So I'm going to put this one just below Please Please Me. And just overall, it didn't really add anything to their style. They didn't really experiment much or anything. It was just kind of like another early days Beatles album. Didn't feel that special. Okay, next we have Help, another soundtrack album. This one is arguably the beginning of the transition of the Beatles take, and I would say the first very, very good album, and the first album where people were like, hey, these guys are good, they can really hold their own as a band, and they don't need to like follow the trends. They can just do their own thing and still be very popular. So some notable songs from the track are the title track, Help, one of my favorites, probably my favorite early Beatles-ish. This isn't really, it's like a transition between early and late Beatles. Obviously Ticket to Ride is really good. Yesterday is one of the best songs. The other songs on here aren't really bad either. They're really good overall. Really great album. I'd say this is probably still B tier, but above A Hard Day's Night. Overall, Help is a really great album. Better than A Hard Day's Night for sure, and I don't know, it's just not quite A tier. I might move it to low A tier later, but we'll see. Alright, next we have Rubber Soul, one of my favorite albums of all time. This one is a high A tier for me. It is just, it's the beginning of it's like the full plunge into the change of the Beatles. So they started getting a lot more experimental with different genres of music and started incorporating lots of different sounds and stuff into their music, like Drive My Car, one of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song from this album, but also there's other great songs on this album, like Norwegian Wood is really great, Michelle is really good, In My Life is one of the best Beatles songs, so overall just an incredible album. So that puts it on high A tier for me. I really like this one. Okay, next we have Revolver, another great album. So this one, honestly, I don't know if I like it as much as Rubber Soul. I'm gonna say just off the bat that it's gonna be A tier, but below Rubber Soul. So there's lots of songs on here that I like. Taxman is really great. Eleanor Rigby, one of my favorites. Good Day Sunshine it's definitely notable. It is pretty repetitive, but it's pretty catchy. Yellow Submarine is a classic, although also repetitive, and just overall really good all around. I don't think it's quite as good as Rubber Soul, but it is still a very good album. Okay, next we have Magical Mystery Tour, the final soundtrack album. This one is the best soundtrack album, in my opinion. It is a lot shorter, but I think overall it is just, like, here, listen to the songs on this thing. We have Magical Mystery Tour, which is really good. The Fool on the Hill is a classic. I Am the Walrus is great, although pretty weird. Hello Goodbye is a really good one. Strawberry Fields Forever, one of the greatest songs of all time. Penny Lane, I really like Penny Lane. It's like slightly below Strawberry Fields for me. All You Need Is Love is another great one. So this is, honestly, I'm gonna put this one above Revolver, but not quite Rubber Soul. But it is really good and a lot more experimental. This is when they really got into a lot of experimentation. Okay, next we have my favorite album of all time, Sgt. Pepper. And it is obviously going to be an S tier for me. Looking at the track, it's just great song after great song. And honestly, like, when you listen to it all the way through, it's a great experience. And so let's look at some of these songs. They're all incredible songs, but ones that stand out to me are Sgt. Pepper. The title track is honestly a really good title track. We have Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, Beatles song. Fixing a Hole is another incredible song that I think a lot of people underrate. Being for the Benefit of Mr. Kite has one of my favorite intros to a song ever. With and Without You is great. When I'm 64 is a classic. Good Morning is honestly probably the weakest one, and even that is a great song. And then obviously A Day in the Life, which is just an incredible song and one of my favorites of all time, just in general. So yeah, this makes it an S tier album. It's really good. It has lots of great songs and they all fit well together. I think that's what some of these other ones are missing, is kind of that connectedness between songs, and this album has that really well. Does that really well. So it doesn't have filler songs. It's just great song after great song after great song. So it's an S tier for me. Alright, next we have the White Album, the longest album. And it is interesting. I really like it overall, but there are some songs on it that I don't like. Like Wild Honey Pie is probably the worst Beatles song. And then we have Revolution 9, which is just really weird. I get it that it's like artistic, but like I wouldn't go on a road trip jamming to this song. It's just, yeah. But on the other hand, there are some classic, incredible songs on here. Back in the USSR, Obla Di Obla Da is pretty good. While My Guitar Gently Weeps is incredible. Blackbird, Rocky Raccoon, I think is really underrated. Not as underrated as another song on this album, but we'll get to that. Other good ones are Helter Skelter, and even their birthday song is pretty good on here. Oh, and Don't Pass Me By is a great one. But I think the most underrated Beatles song ever is Glass Onion, which is on this. I think it's a really good song, even though it's like a song about other songs. It's still, like, just, if you take away the lyrics and replace them with something else, it's still a great song, I think, and it gets stuck in my head way too often for being just not like its own song. It's just a song about other songs. But yeah, so overall, I'm gonna put the White Album above Rubber Soul, top of A tier. I think it's really good, but just some of the songs are bad on it. Actually, reconsidering, I'm gonna put it below Rubber Soul. Yeah, it's just slightly below. Okay, next we have Yellow Submarine. This one is for a, I think I said that Magical Mystery Tour is the last soundtrack. This one's technically a soundtrack for a animated movie, but it's like they added songs and stuff, so it's weird. But I think overall it's a pretty weak album. It has some classics on it, like Yellow Submarine, obviously, but other than that, it's Hey Bulldog, honestly, is a really great one, and that's pretty much the only song on here that I really, really like. So I'm gonna have to put that one just below Please Please Me. Honestly, it's just not very good. There's a few good songs on here and one really good song, but the rest are just average or even below average. Okay, next we have Abbey Road, which, since it was technically recorded after Let It Be, even though it released before, I'm gonna do it next. So, Abbey Road. Really good album, honestly. S tier for me. Not quite as good as Sgt. Pepper, but it's really up there. Come Together is one of my favorites. Something is really good, probably my favorite George song. Then we have Octopus's Garden, my favorite Ringo song. Even though he didn't write it, he sings it. Here Comes the Sun, one of the most iconic songs ever. And then, of course, we have Golden Slumbers, Carry That Weight, in the end. All of those, that medley right there is just incredible and one of my favorites. So honestly, it's a really good album, and it has the most iconic cover of any album ever, so that's going for it too. Finally, we have Let It Be. This one is a really good album. I like this one. Honestly, I don't know if it's quite as good as Abbey Road, but it is really good. We have Across the Universe. Honestly, it's pretty hyped up, but it's not one of my favorites. But Let It Be obviously is really good. And then The Long and Winding Road is one of my favorite songs. And then Get Back is another great one. So overall, it's a really good album, and I really like it. But unfortunately, it's gonna have to go just below Rubber Soul for me, I think. Just because some of these other songs on here are, honestly, I think just drag it down enough that it's, actually, I'm gonna put it above Rubber Soul, but it's not quite S tier. So yeah, this is it. That's all the albums. So this is my complete Beatles tier list, Beatles album tier list. The Beatles are my favorite band, and I really like their music. So thank you for watching. I'll leave a link to this tier list down below if you want to make your own, and tell me what's your favorite Beatles song, because engagement helps the algorithm. Make sure to subscribe if you're hungry or thirsty. Either one works.